Hi, thank you for joining. Today's Python tutorial is tutorial number 7, and we're going to cover how to handle and accept user input. I'm going to create a couple quick examples here. The first thing that you'll notice is I have the IDE launched, the Python IDE. So I'm going to go out and create a new file. And in the file, I'm going to go ahead and the first thing I'm going to do is just do a regular string input. So let's collect people's names. So I'm going to say name, which is the variable, and instead of identifying a name like Bob, I'm going to go ahead and accept user input. And how I do that is I define it as input, and then if I want to put a string on the, a prompt on the screen for the user to enter their input, I'm going to go ahead and type in this case, I'm going to say type your name here, right? And I'm going to do colon space and then close the quotes, and the space there is just for cosmetics on the screen. Okay, then I'm going to say print hi, and I'm going to do space again for cosmetics, close the quotes, and then I'm going to concatenate or add these values together, or add this together. All right, I'm going to add some text, and then I'm going to say hi, and then I want to print out the name. Okay, and how I do that is just plus name, and I'm going to do plus again because I want to add more text after it. So I'm going to go ahead and open up quotes again. I'm going to say comma space thanks for joining. Okay, well, I'm not going to do a space there. Okay, so I'm going to say thanks for joining. All right, then I'm going to close the parentheses and hit return. Now if I run that, it's going to prompt me to save it, and I'm just going to save it as, okay, so I'm going to save this program and I'm going to title it user input, and let's use Bob. Okay, so as you can see, it printed out hi Bob, comma, thanks for joining. And if you follow the logic here, the input accepted the name on the screen, and it gave me a space there for cosmetics, and then it printed out hi space the variable name plus open quotes, comma, thanks for joining, and then close the quotes, and that's what prints out. So by default, what you'll want to know is that anytime you take user input, the default setting is that it accepts it as a string, okay, or accepts it as text essentially. So if you want to get a number, it will also collect it as a string. So let's do age. And so we're going to say age equals input, and then what we want to type on the screen, let's say please enter your age, colon, space, close the quotes, close the parentheses, hit return, and then in this case it's still a string, so we can say print your age is, and then I put a space, close the quotes, plus the variable name age. Okay, then I hit return. I'm going to go ahead and run that, and I'm going to go ahead and say okay to save it. Let's say Bob, and let's say he's 23. Okay, your age is 23, and then hi Bob, thanks for joining again. So that is a string at this point, even though it's a number. So if we need to use that number in some sort of a calculation, we would need to convert it to a number, right? And that could be an integer, a whole number, or say a float if you had decimal places. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and delete this line right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a statement to convert this. Okay, so I'm going to say age is equal to integer, int, and then the variable name age. Okay, now I'm just going to say print age and hit return. Okay, so I'm going to show you how this works. So I'm going to say run module. And now let's say it's Bob and he's 23. Okay, so now it just says 23 because I didn't have a string there, your name, your age is such and such. Now, because it's an integer or a number, we're just printing it. Okay, it's not going to work and let you do the output with the text. You can't concatenate those. Okay, so one thing you'll notice now is because we're converting this to an integer, it will only accept certain entries. Okay, so for example, instead of entering a name here, you could type whatever you want, right? Type in some garbage. Okay, so it has numbers and letters in there. I'm gonna hit return, and it thinks that person's name is this long string of random characters. Okay, but now, because I'm converting it to an integer, if I go ahead and enter in just random text, I'm gonna get an error. Okay, and that's because I converted it to an integer. If I left it as a string, I could type in whatever I want to. We're not going to cover it in this tutorial, but in future tutorials, we'll talk about how to handle this error correction in display and get that resolved for the program and the user. So thanks for joining. Take care.